is what you call the evening where I'm located at, trying to get things situated. Hey, if you come into the room, welcome, welcome, welcome for this live chat. I just want to say thank you for coming in and thank you for the individuals that may come back later on. I also want to say thank you for the new individuals that is becoming friends as well, subscribing to the channel. I appreciate you. I really do. This is the place to wear about. I talk about prayer. I believe in that prayer. So powerful. And when I say powerful, so powerful to the fact that I have seen prayers work and it has continued to work. I also believe in breaking those cycles, just from off of life, the things that may come around or reappear back in, life. And the topic of this particular subject is what matters most. This is the data we're about, I stated earlier this morning, just talking about relationships and things. Didn't go heavily into it, but wanted to talk about the fact about communications and relationship, since this is a day to where about individuals celebrating the love. But just my own thoughts and from life experience, hey, love should be celebrated every day, at least on my part. I embrace the fact that I can love any day. It doesn't take a special day and it doesn't take the flowers or the bouquet. Those things have its place, but I don't feel like that a day should call for this is the day and this is the only day that I'm going to do it. And if it is not being done, then guess what? You don't love me no more. No, love should be based on the fact that knowing that great communication is in place and individuals understand one another. And I'm basically talking about in a relationship format, this part of the conversation. But if you are in a relationship, pursuing toward a relationship, going in a relationship, a mask may be worn. And when I say mask, like mask, it could be worn entering in. It's a lot of what you call fluff time in the beginning because, individuals are put on the best version of who they are, instead of looking, between that, facade that individuals have on. You have to really get to know an individual, going in a relationship. And even if you think you know them, you will still have to grow with them if you're trying to stay in that relationship, because relationship, it takes two people to work on it and toward it. And getting in a relationship, sometimes, you can get in a relationship not knowing how you end up in the relationship and why you're there. My life experience, I can just share from this part in relationships, is that you have to make sure that you show up for it. You're going to be true to it and you're going to be true to yourself as well, being in that relationship, because things will come up and things will happen. The most important aspect is knowing why you want to be in a relationship and knowing why this relationship will be so important and what makes you feel as if you need to be in a relationship, even at the time that you're pursuing a relationship. One thing I would like to say, I'm from old school. Of course, when I came up, the men was taking care of the household and making sure that household was being ran and taken care of, meaning providing, as well as allowing what you call that particular wife to become and do whatever that they needed to do, such as get an education, go to school, whatever that she wanted to do in life. That was very well much supported, but as well as the man understood his role and his position to know that, listen, I will always be what you call the provider for the household. In other words, I'm not going to allow you to make me feel as if I would not be the provider. You are the wife, and you make sure that the home is being taken care of and things, and make sure that you're doing what you need to do. But I am the provider, because once the man feel like that he can no longer be that provider, and I'm talking about from my perspective, the generation of what I came from, and just my own personal life. When a man think he cannot be the provider, then he will feel some type of way. And this is for the ears that can relate to the place where I'm coming from, because the new generation got a whole different way of looking at relationships and things, because in the new generation, it's about sharing and splitting the bills down. Well, like I said, from my generation, the man took care of everything. When I say everything, everything. But at the same token, the wife also had her duty to do to make sure, the home is being ran correctly. Everything that needed to be taken care of is being done properly. And that's work within itself. It is completely work within itself. Being what you call a housewife, or being a wife that do work and possibly may have kids to take care of, that is work, even if your husband is a provider. It is even work now, even if you're in a relationship having to combine the bills together. That's still work, because it must become honesty, it must be truthfulness in that particular relationship as well, when you are what you call sharing those particular special, areas that you may have to share. Everybody relationship is different. Let me say that much. Like I say, it's a different generation. Individuals are doing things different. I just know that for me, and things, being from my generation and just who I am, my husband never what you call stopped me from pursuing a career, knowing, making sure that I was still able to be able to not only to pursue my career, but not get me off a track to say that I don't want you to receive what you need to receive and stop doing what you're doing so that you don't have anything to fall back on. That was the one thing that was very much understood, that listen, we will not get in one another way when it comes to the careers, because careers are very important when you are giving a career, especially coming from a cultural perspective, when you got these good paying jobs and when these jobs was not easy to just walk into the door and to obtain them, meaning that you actually had to fight for them. Like Harpo say, all my life I had to fight, and things, talking the color purple, if I'm saying it right. But in reality, there's some truth to it. So and you got very well decent and paying jobs that came with a level of protection that were about some incentives that came with them. You didn't walk away from those things, because back then, I can truly say jobs package you well to where about you were able to invest, doing additional deferred compensations, putting and looking more into the stock market. All of this was available to do, and not as what you call so much on an expensive level. You invested how you wanted to invest. So therefore, when it was relationship building coming from my life understanding, your partner or your husband or wife had to be on the same team to understand, meaning that you both had something that you were doing and working toward. And in working toward it, you build one another up. But now in the new generation, for me, it is completely different. Because first of all, this is where about I look at it, is that, you know, men, not all, but the generation of the men that I'm seeing now, they look for women to take care of them and to help them out in areas that they need to be helped out, whether or not it's child support, whether or not it's combining kids or combining a family together. It's more or less like, well, we are basically going to help one another out, instead of the man standing on his own saying, I know what you got and I know what you can do, but I still want to be a man on my own to do what I need to do for my household. And in order for a man to keep that position and never let that woman feel like that she has power over him, to talk down to him and basically snatch his manhood away from him, he have to always stay what you call equipped and having enough so that he can maintain himself and so that he can be a provider if he now is taking on another household, along with having other kids additional from another family if he were ever married. So it takes work in a relationship, and you have to bring everything open to the table to talk about these things, to make relationships work All relationships, I understand, can be different. Individuals run their household completely different. So it's whatever works for individuals where they're at. But I can truly say what works for me and things a man has to be that man standing in his position, being able to understand that, listen, I don't never want a man to be in a weak format to whereby I will rule and take authority as if I am in his shoes. That's not my role. I want a man to be a man. I want that man to do what he need to do, protect, take care, and to provide. I don't want a man as if a man need to be a roommate, period. Because once again, I'm not from that particular cloth. I wasn't cut from that, and things, but I am what you call an individual that is a helpmate to where about that as well of, as they say, bringing some to the table. Well, I am the table, meaning that, not that I'm not coming with anything, but whatever that may be needed. But when you are married, these are good communications skills and tools that you would need to have in the household, in the relationship, period. Because when things come up, then you understand what is expected out of the relationship. Relationships have a way of changing too, as well. Just say if something happens, someone was to take sick, to get ill, or whatever, of course, whoever it may be, that may need to, what you call, stand in the gap and be able to, run things to the best of their ability while they, take hold of things, while they are being guided and directed by that individual that would normally run things. That mate should never set the person up to fail. You should be set up to win at all times. And when I say to win in a position to where about, you feel comfortable enough, you feel protected by your mate anytime. And I'm talking now to the women. When a woman feels as if she is not protected in a relationship, she don't feel as if that she is covered, through the process of love, through honesty, and through good communication. It will basically, what you go in and sabotage that relationships. And then not only will it sabotage it, it seemed like you would never get the honesty back in the relationship, how it started off. So relationships can start out with the mask being worn on it. For whatever reason, I don't know. That's just how, seem like relationships feel as if they got to appear a certain way to an individual. When really, when you come to an individual, you just speak the truth, tell the truth, and just be honest right where you at, because it's up to an individual now to accept you for who you are. When you tell the truth, then there are no lies that is hidden. The only thing you have to do now is grow in the relationship at the particular time with the individuals, and you will have what you call, challenges. But when you get in a relationship the right way, you fight through them challenges. You sit down, you talk about them, go to counseling if you may have to go. But when you choose relationships the wrong way based on how you enter into it, that's why I talk about those generational cycles. You have to look at between now your significant other through their bloodline, from their mother and their father, and from your mother and father. What are the things that was challenging? What are the things that they had to fight through, or what was very challenging? What are some of the things that are important to you when it comes to relationship? Is it just that, oh, the look and the feel good moment? Are you impressed how a person may have, put it down on you? Are you just overwhelmed about that? And now, you seeing stars, you seeing everything, and, not realizing you got to get up sometime out of the bed. That just done overwhelm you to the point that you can't think no more. The only thing you're thinking about is that feeling. That is a false sense of love completely. But when you can see that the real true love and the aspect, these things have to grow in relationship as well, because as you are growing in a relationship, especially if you get in a relationship in your when you're very young, you have to see the process go through the good and through the bad and through the challenges. What matters most to you? What are the boundaries that you set up in your relationships, the things that you would tolerate and the things that you want? Every relationship is different, but when you value that relationship and when you put, that particular word in it, and your true faith in it, and to say how you would show up, because one thing I will say about God, God can heal anything and he can recover it anything, especially in a relationship. But you completely have to be honest and true to yourself, and knowing that, listen, I know that God put us together, and I know that I want to be in this relationship. And when you look at a relationship like that and you didn't get into it for the monetary purpose or the purpose that you seen a come up because you needed the help. And this is the one thing I will say, and I can share from my own personal life. I always express to my husband and things that I didn't marry you for the money, because I came with my own money. So that alone, sets aside to say, did I marry for the money? No, but as the relationship grew and as he began to evolve in things, as our relationship grew through the good and through the bad times and the separating of times as well, the appreciation is that when you can see a relationship come to the value or wherever it may be at, because all relationships does not what you call have continuous what you call happy moments in them. You will have moments to whereby they become challenging. But the one thing I will share on this particular day, when you have a solid relationship, no matter what, you are able to understand that, listen, I know how to move, I know how to take it to the Lord in prayer, because I did not get in it intentionally the wrong way. I got in this relationship knowing that, God, I asked you whether or not this was my husband, or this was, quote unquote, if I got any male ears that's open, is this is my wife. And you have to move the correct way and know that, listen, I didn't get you because I needed you for financial pull up. I fell in love with you because there was something divinely of a spirit that drawn me to you. Lust can draw people to. What is lust? Lust of the flesh. The lust of the flesh is the thing to wear about. You just burning up and you just desiring the beauty on the outside, but not understanding once you enter into the inside, all of those other things that now may come up and now that you may have to deal, with in a relationship. So relationships can take a toll on life, period. That's why you literally have to understand what is the real love, and what really matters most to you in a relationship. You cannot compare your relationship to my relationship or to no one else's relationship. The only thing that you can do is knowing that you enter into it the right way. What is the right way to you? That's what's really key. You have to understand what is entering into a relationship the right way meaning to you. Is entering into it the right way by saying, now I'm gonna go and I'm for to go and disturb somebody else's household, and I'm gonna become the side chick to become wife. No, let's get clear. I done seen these scenarios play out. So if you hear and if you're getting offended on it, this is not what the conversation is meant to be. But I'm just talking openly, considering relationships, since today is centered around love. But if you became what you call that side chick done turned marriage, then you got to realize the same individual that you got, they hadn't changed from whom that they were married to. They just took it with them, but they wore a mask for you now. And now the mask that they wore now is in your hands to deal with it and to navigate through it, and then to take a chance to know that, listen, this is what I choose. Because I thought that, listen, that grass that I seen that I thought that was real green, although I was in a safe place, I'm gonna have to deal with this dead grass that I got. I'm just putting it in a scenario. So to be the best version for you when it comes to a relationship, be true to yourself. If you don't want to have a relationship, it's okay. Relationships are good when you can accept the fact that you don't have to be in a relationship if God has not sent you that mate. When God sends you somebody to completely be in your life, when you're walking in the light, and when you have accepted God in your life, There's no what you call misunderstanding now of how you're choosing. It's a different when you choose a relationship when you're not completely understanding your walk with God. You make mistakes. You completely do. And the mistakes that can be made and everything, sometimes they happen when we're not in God. And then the mistakes that happen when we are in God, that's when you can go to God and say, hey, Lord, even when they happen when you're out of God, but especially when you're in God, this is an area that, I wasn't aware of it. I wasn't too much familiar with what to do because possibly you didn't see healthy relationships in your family growing up. So how do you know what a healthy relationship is at all? If you're trying to compare what a real relationship is, if you never had a wholesome relationship with your mother or your father, male or female, and if you didn't see healthy relationships, and I'm talking from life experience, then how do you know what is a real good relationship? What do it look like? That's why sometimes it's best to stay single so that you can know yourself and know your expectations and know what you want from a relationship. But even when you know that you are a good person, you can still just be an open vessel because remember, I said spirits need a home, they need a place to stay. So if you're a spirit to where about you're very good individual, you're just good, meaning that you bring everything that you know to bring to create a family and to be happy. Someone else may not have that same mindset like you, so therefore you have to be wise now who you open your heart up to and the direction you want to share your life with, because all these things will come back to you and they will speak to you. Basically, they'll minister to you like as, this is something that, I created. So how do now, I either fix the situation or how do now I can move forward to look at life completely different. One thing about the love, and when I say the love, God give us that particular love to whereby you can't measure it up according to our fleshly known of what we lust for. The true love comes from God. That's why relationships that take tolls and when they take hits and when they go through that spiritual warfare, in latter years, these individuals that have been standing strong, that have a strong relationship, they have testimonies to whereby they can say, honey, we actually went through something and we wasn't always here and everything, but they were willing to heal their relationship. Somebody was praying in that relationship and interceding to see that relationship become whole and become one because they choose to make that commitment to the relationship and say that I'm going to stand. I don't advise anyone to stay in a relationship to where about that it does not work for you if it's not according to the Lord's will, and how do you know that? You have to put yourself in God's will in order for God to communicate, study that word so that you can know the difference, what is good and what is healthy. That's how you would understand, God, is this the right individual in my life? And don't be afraid either, if you're not married, to stay unmarried until God send you someone. I hope that this particular message was very helpful for individuals and things that had ears to hear. But relationship is not based on the materialistic value of what you can see from someone or the lust and things. Those are things that move toward in a relationship, but a good wholesome relationship always have love, what you call just standing and abounding. And even as the marriage goes until death do you part, those are what you call some strong words to just hold on to. And sometimes they just can't be held on to because some individuals do grow apart because of what they have to learn and the things that they have to repent from and the things that they wish that they never did, meaning that to their relationship. Some people are truly what you call, made some bad mistakes in life and wish that it wouldn't have happened. But just because they want to be forgiven, that other person may not forgive them because now they want to move on because They don't want to go through the hardship of the pain of that trust level to trust and open their heart up again, because they don't understand at this time whether or not they can trust you with their particular love anymore, because they value you so much and they put so much time and energy. And sometimes they just feel like it's this is just not the moment for me to put energy into something that I trusted so much. So relationships have its challenges, and boy, do it have a story to write. The one thing about it, I will say, when you can come to a maturity and the mindset, you'll be able to reflect upon life, and you can look at, if you're still married, the things that you grew from, the things that you got delivered from, the things that you're still healing from, and the things that you're in prayer with. You can actually, look at your relationship, and you can be thankful in some areas and forgiven in some areas, and continue to be forgiven and being proudful in more areas. I know for me, I'm all of that. I'm more thankful, forgiving, and proudful, because I understand relationships can take a big journey in this particular earthly realm. So you have to pray and continue to keep God first, have great, awesome communication. And even if it seems as if it's taking a turn, you still have to present it to God. The one thing I do know is, when you enter a relationship right, the good thing that I like to say is knowing that you feel good when you know that you presented yourself the right way in the relationship and you didn't enter into it the wrong way. That's a good feeling, to know that, God, I know that I did what was right. And I know that I didn't bring any injury in it. And if something did come up, you can have that repentive soul to whereby it means something, and you truly, you know, just have your heart moment with God. Yes. Oh God, I thank you. So for this evening, I just want to say, for individuals that are either maybe being engaged, this particular moment, or maybe going a little further in a relationship, or those that, are still married and bumps have hit, roads have hit, have a communication. Know what matters most to you in your relationship. Have that particular foundation of the things that matters most to you. I can't tell you what to do, because I'm just talking here to where, but I come here to encourage and motivate. But I will say, the most I'll keep prayer in your life, keep prayer covering over your relationship and over your marriages and things. And just always put God first in your relationship, because the main thing, when you do that, it makes no difference, good or bad, what decisions that has to be made. Even if relationships come to an ending point, you know that you did everything that you need to do. And doing that everything, you looked over your life, you examined it, you examined the relationship, you did the counseling, you did it all. When I say everything, everything, and you put your best in it. And when you can walk away, if you have to do that, then the reason why you did it. And you just didn't do it because of something that, really don't even line up with the will of God. You're doing it because, that, listen, something that affected you, and it just crossed the lines, and God is not pleased with it at all. And He's giving you a choice. You can stay or you can pray. It's up to you which one you want to do. But in staying, you got to know that you will always be proudful, and you will always need to be steadfast in that relationship, because you know the territory now. You know the signs, you know the things that will come and challenge you. You know the enemy will not, what you call, give up on putting hits or bringing hits at you. That's the best way that I can put it in everything. You already know. If your spouse is constantly, being, what you call unfaithful, that's something that you're going to have to weather through. You're going to have to pray through it. Can God change things? God can change anything, but it takes the individual to change. So know what, the real meaning of love, and what matters most to you when you entering into a relationship, and allowing God to be your best friend, to give you that permission to enter into it. If other voices will speak and talk and give more, what you call, insight, to relationships and things. When it comes to wholesome relationship, I think a lot of healing will take place, a lot of understanding will take place. That doesn't mean because you're older that things have been perfect and you can't share. This is a point whereby you can share in life, because in sharing you're helping someone else now to stay whole and to stay healthy to the best of their ability. You can't change them, but you're giving what you call wealth of information that can basically be a blessing to individuals. I choose to continue to stay in that light, and the light I have to continue to stay in, which is God, that keep just pouring into me, just keeping me where I need to be at. So I have to continue to stay in this light daily. I have to stay prayed up. I have to constantly motivate myself. I have to be the best cheerleader for my own soul so that I can stay equipped, because if I don't, I can fall down too. I can get my knees scuffed up. I'm not no special individual, no other than, hey, I just believe in that power of praying and faith. And I believe that, God will put me all back together, but I got to be true to myself. I can't sit around here walking and lying and being untruthful, as if, oh, it ain't nothing wrong. Just speaking lies when I just need to have a great conversation to myself and with God, so that, God can hear my prayers clearly. Because one thing about God, and I want to wrap this up, is that when your soul mean well, it makes no difference what you go through. God will always be with you. Always be with you, good or bad. There will be things that will happen in life, in relationships, that will, have its turn. But when your soul mean well, and when you're willing to work through it and work it out, everything will be okay. Everything will. My friend said, yes, it's a must to stay in the word and encourage yourself. You have to. That's why I try to tell my friends, read that word for yourself. Remember, I'm nobody's Sunday school teacher, Bible school teacher, none of that. My main thing is that I do believe in the power of prayer. I believe that God is a healer. I believe that God do miracles. I believe that God love what you call the space to where about he loves to see us grow and evolve. He loves love because God is love. I believe that. Listen, you all. Y'all hear them pots turning. Listen, I'm about to become a new person now. Them pots about to turn now in the kitchen and everything that is going on. Yeah, at this particular time, I actually have a grandson that is actually going to be cooking and things. Now, I don't know actually what he's cooking. I asked him what he was cooking. He told me he'll see. But he's turning out to be a little decent little cook with, skills that he can take with him, as he become a young man and everything. His mother's doing a great job on that. So he's actually turning out love to cook, love to bake. So, I get to, enjoy and taste. So I'm just going to enjoy family at this moment. Remember, for those who have not subscribed, subscribe. I appreciate all of the new friends that is showing up and showing love. I see you. I appreciate you. I am thankful. Just keep your notifications on, because y'all know in the morning time, I would love to come back and just talk about the power of prayer and being positive, different subjects. But today it was all about what matters to you the most, and just going into talking about relationships. The key thing is communication, and also knowing, God, did you put this person in my life? And when you see things change, take it to the Lord, pray about it. And when God show you something, you have to be willing to be open and to accept what God is showing you, and now be willing to do the work, hand joined in hand with your mate. If your mate don't join the hand with you, then you have to pay attention what God is talking to you about. I am not the one to tell anyone to get out of a relationship. You have to take it to the Lord. I would say do whatever you need to do if you got in your relationship the right way. What is the right way? Once again, what matters to you most. And then too, some people may not know the right way, because you remember I said them generational cycles. If mama always did what mama did, and mama always was that side chick, and she had outside, children from different men, then that's all you know. But listen, that's all what mama know because of, guess what, the generation of the generation that was passed down. So when mama now get them chains breaking from off of her, or dad, then their life become what you call in a different matter. Then they share and they pull out, and then they build family up by telling their relationship and their story to what it did to them and how it affected their family. This is what you call the wholesome healing, what God does in individuals and change their life around. So just because somebody may have did something that was foul in the marriage or the relationship, that same individual, God will raise them up and can clean them up and now get them to speaking and talking so that they can be what you call that voice piece for their family, because now they don't want to see their sons or their daughter going and making those same decisions and directions that they did, because God touched them, and that could be their purpose while they're living on this face of the earth now, to raise them, young women to, with young girls to be those women that they need to be, having a healthy relationship, to raise those, young boys to be those men and everything, to have what you call value in a relationship, instead of not understanding what is family dynamic, how do family, become family, how do you keep family. These are the roles of the mother and the fathers, the roles that can take place when God come in and shift, and when he come in and change the atmosphere. I do believe that God can change the atmosphere even if the dad does not live in the household and everything. I believe that God can touch the man's heart and say, hey, I need you to go back, and I need you now to put some effort into now speaking into that son or speaking into that daughter, because remember, you left, you went head on, and you created other families with, different individuals, but you forgot this family back here. But I'm touching you now because I'm going to give you an opportunity to do the work, because I don't want you now, as you're getting older, I don't want you to have a regret upon your heart to say, wow, I should have went back and I should have tried to have a communication. I know that God give everybody a chance, male or female, even if you messed up, even if it was not right. God give everybody an opportunity to have great relationships if they want to, but you have to be willing to stand up and to accept and be accountable for it. You don't have to constantly keep wallowing in what happened. You can just be accountable to say, you know what, I may have did this, or I may didn't look like, what I did that was right in the eyes of my daughters or my sons. But guess what? I'm willing now to build that foundation in the relationship how I need to build it, irregardless of what took place. When you take a stand like that, that's when now you're taking what you call that authority and you making things happen, because now you're breaking those chains and those shackles from off of the generation from your bloodline that want to stay connected to your children. But one thing about the next generation, if you don't break it, then your children will be what you call chain breakers if they have somebody praying and interceding for them, such as a grandmother or an auntie or whomever that is praying and interceding for the next generation. That's why prayer is powerful. And when you understand the power of prayer, even if you don't do what you need to do, the prayer will keep going until somebody else become that chain breaker in the family. So don't worry, about whether or not your prayers are being heard or anything like that. Oh, they're being heard. It's just that, listen, it may come a time to where about now, if you just believe and trust, you'll get to see, if you're still living, the fruits of what you're doing and the change that God have touched you to do. All right, friends. I think my family's trying to get my attention, and things, because they are in the particular kitchen and things, having conversations. So what I'm going to do is just say blessings and power unto everyone. Have a great and an amazing evening. Enjoy, love on, each other. Enjoy your evening, and just continue to love and understand that God love you. I thank you and I appreciate you at this time. Thank you so much. Remember to keep your notifications on, thumbs up the video, and things. And I love you. I really do. Thank you so much for just supporting as well. Thank you. I appreciate you.